All right, have and have not fans, hope you're doing well. And we're talking about whether or not, okay, if Hanna kills Jim, how do you think that's going to impact the friendship of Katheryn and Hanna? Do you think Hanna should still be in charge of the estate? And do you think Hanna killing Jim is justified? So we're going to cover, multiple layers on this subject. So before going forward, make sure you take a moment to hit subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post new content to the channel. And follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Now, I've voiced my opinion on this for well over a year about the whole thing about Hanna not really holding her children accountable for their crime. Where, Benny technically wasn't the one who stole the money. That was all Candace, but at the same time, he knowingly has money that doesn't belong to him. So it's like Hanna will do everything in her power to stop those who try to come after and threaten her children for taking money that she knows isn't theirs. Yet all she does is the equivalent of slapping them on the wrist and scolding them. Oh, well, if you're holding on to money that doesn't belong to you, then you're not staying in my house. Okay. You're kicking the kids out. All right, they can stand on their own. So it's almost like Hanna's a walking contradiction. It's like she tells these children, well, you know what? If you're going to live in sin like that with ill-gotten money, then you're not allowed in this house. Just no, you're not staying under my roof. So basically you're telling them to get out on their own. As in, when you kick them out of the house, they are to deal with the responsibilities of their actions. Okay, right on. But when the people that who were wronged by your children take action against their crimes, then you want to speak up. Don't you dare threaten my children. I will come after you. And then you warn the kids, and yet they still, Benny and Candace don't care. Because, we got protection, or, I can deal with them. And then when stuff happens, then Hanna wants to kill someone. Look, I'm not saying a mother or parent isn't justified in defending their children. But at the same time, it's like, I just don't like Hanna when it comes to that particular subject. Like, there are many arenas where I do like Hanna. Like, I've praised her in videos about how even though she honestly don't think it was the right move to put her in charge of the money and everything. Because I do feel like, in a way, Jim might have some truth in what he was saying about Katheryn using Hanna. Almost in the same way that he uses David. Someone who's trustworthy, dependable, doesn't ask a lot of questions. Maybe I'll do a video on that. But Jim, I feel, is... Look, I'm not saying I'm a Wyatt fan. My gosh, I am not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, Wyatt made some pretty dumbass decisions, and that's what's landed him in the position he's in right now with the Malones and whatnot. But how can you sit up here and defend Hanna? And I'm not trying to attack those who are. Just hear me out. How can some fans try to justify the way Hanna defends her children because she's their parent? But when Jim tries to threaten them because it's not just about the money, it's the fact that his son's life is in danger. And if the money isn't handed over, then his son is going to die. Isn't he and Hanna, aren't they both kind of fighting for the same thing for different reasons? Because Candace took the money. Her and Benny are keeping it. And Jim, is threatening them. Or wants to, but, he's waiting for all the chips to fall with Mitch, so the Malones are no longer protecting them. And then on the other side of that coin, you have Wyatt, who, got those drugs and, slit Vinny's wrist and, throat and everything. And now he's dealing with $1 million, bounty, if you will. So I'm just wondering, Where's the difference? Not to mention, I feel like there's going to be a huge misunderstanding where Benny, if he does end up dead, it's going to be by the Malone's hands instead of Jim. Like, Benny, they'll probably get to Benny before Jim does, because think of it this way. If he ends up messing around with Rihanna, then, Sandy's going to be pissed off. And then in a way, I feel like Benny might be Sandy's first kill, because we already know Vinny isn't fond of how Sandy's a wimp of a Malone, where oh, wow, okay, so not only are you incapable of getting this girl in line, she got an abortion, you can't get her under control, now she's dating someone else, and it's the black kid on top of that. So I feel like in order to compensate, Sandy might try to kill Benny. Then Hanna might think that Jim had something to do with this and then kill him. But also, let's go back to the Benny thing with the Malones. If Vinny, I believe the last time he was on the phone, it was about getting checking the serial numbers to see all the money that Mitch handed over, to see if they match up. Like, if Jim paid off Benny's debt. So Benny might be attacked from two fronts on the Malone side. One from Sandy, in the whole Rihanna thing. And then one from Vinny if it's found out that his debt wasn't paid by him. And then because he held on to that $1 million, it's like they might increase the bounty. Well, excuse me, they might increase how much money Vinny owes because he has all that money. So it's just so many factors that go into it. And hell, for all we know, maybe Jim will team up with the Malones. Like, see, well, I was wrong, you were wrong, so let's get revenge. So I get my money back, you can get the money, and we'll be good. So I feel like Benny is going to just be steamrolled, but it's going to be his own fault. So the whole Rihanna thing, that's one thing. But the whole, the money that he owed the Malones, as well as the money he kept from Jim, yeah, he deserves to be in trouble for that. So I feel like Jim might get killed by mistake. Now, the major question is, if Hanna decides to do something to Jim, is she justified in doing so? Honestly, I say no, because if you treat your children, it's like you try to treat your children like adults 1 minute, but then you try to coddle them another. It just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. I mean, let's talk about the whole Katheryn angle of it. I've said it time and time again. Katheryn and Jim love each other regardless. Also, think of it this way. What if it's found out that Hanna killed Jim thinking that Jim did something to Benny and or Candace? And remember, Kyle and Scott from DC, the Attorney General, they're plotting to kill Candace too. So what if something happens to Candace? And then once again, I feel like if Jim dies by Hanna, it's all going to be this big misunderstanding. So basically her kids will possibly get killed or hurt due to their own actions. Like Candace robbing Kyle, robbing Oscar, who was working for Jim to get Wyatt's inheritance, and her and Benny both kept it. Benny taking money. Basically, both children have pissed off some very powerful families and people, and now the consequences are coming down on them. So what if it comes to find out that Hanna thinking Jim did something to her kids because she wouldn't get over the $1 million? Like, imagine Hanna goes to the jail and she's talking with Katheryn about it. I had to kill Jim. Why? He killed my children. Oh my God, Hanna, what happened? Well, he was asking for $1 million to save Wyatt from the Malones. The Malones? And then come to find out it wasn't really Jim who did it. And then Katheryn's going to... Yeah, I feel like, Hannah's I don't know. Despite not being one of these huge villains or criminals of the show, Hanna might be one of the worst people. I'm not saying worst character, but I mean in terms of a person, in terms of characteristics, personality, she might be one of the worst characters on the show. Well, I know I just sound like I contradicted myself. She may be one of the worst people on the show if this goes down. I imagine Jim, her kids getting into trouble, her kids possibly being killed for one reason or another. She assumes Jim did it. She tries to explain to Katheryn what happened. Hanna thinks she understood what was going on, but she doesn't. Hanna doesn't know about Scott and Kyle, and Hanna doesn't know the full story about the Malones and Benny. So I feel like Jim might be killed or hurt by mistake, and then tries to explain to Katheryn, And when Katheryn's like, yeah, it's true, the Malones wanted $1 million. I met with that Mama Rose in jail. And then the truth comes out, and then Katheryn and Hanna, oh my gosh. I feel like it's going to be the same thing like when the way Hanna was pissed off with Katheryn about the whole Wyatt hit and run is the same way that Katheryn's going to be pissed off at Hanna when it comes to Jim. Because of the fact that there's no justification for Hanna doing what she may do when her and Jim have this alleged showdown. I mean, hell, let's take it a step further. What if the Malones actually kill Wyatt? And then because he's angry, Jim decides to have that showdown with Hanna. Who knows? But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. There are so many layers to this topic. I honestly never really sat down and think about it, but I just don't think that there's any way that Hanna could come out of this looking good because of the fact that she's a contradiction. It's like 1 minute, my kids need to do the right thing until they do right. Leave me alone. But then when her kids are in trouble, I want to defend them. So it's like, what's the use if you're always going to come to their aid? So whatever. This is a good topic though. So let's hope the comment section reflects that. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts below and feel free to donate to the channel if you would like on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month.